Charlie Pete Wicks here, coming to you once again with One Piece chapter 1177 entitled Fury. So we're back after a long break back in Elbaf, in which the children are being taken away from the battlefield and the members of the Giant Warrior Pirates and the new Giant Warrior Pirates are facing off against their comrades who are now demon possessed thanks to Imu's Dami Reversi. So it starts off a little rough because Dory is stabbed through the forearm. However, it then soon shifts to the giants fighting back, and we also get a shot of Kashi as he too has to face off against two demon-possessed giants by himself. But yes, Broggy cuts one in half. Haruden punches one in half with gun gear, which we see way back in Dressrosa, so this is a cool callback to that. And Dory bisects one through a single Ikkaku sovereignty. I don't think we've ever seen him use Ikkaku sovereignty, at least not without Broggy. But then again, we know that Big Mom can use it by herself, so it's not uncommon for that to be used. It's just nice to see him use it for a change and not just Big Mom. This is followed by Stanson actually having his own signature attack called Giant Drum. And Stanson, of course, is the shipwright of the new Giant Warrior Pirates headed by Haruden. So that's cool. I'm glad he has his own signature attack in which he bisects a possessed giant in half with his hammer, which is crazy. But we come to Big Boy Zoro, who uses three-sword style, Red Ogre, Mega Fury, and he turns a giant's head into a pizza. He cuts it in like, I don't know, how many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In 8 different pieces, and then he bisects him down the middle. Oh my goodness. Oh my god. That's crazy. That's actually wild. I did not know he could do that. That is so gruesome. Not only that, but he cuts the hands off of the giant along with his shield as he does so. That's insane. Oh, Zoro's cool. Zoro's always cool though. And he does this with his blades coated in armament hockey, obviously. So the attack, Red Ogre Mega Fury, is supposed to be a food pun referencing an idiom about a father's anger over his kids finishing all the rice. So we'll see how that's translated in the future, but that's very funny. I like that a lot. Cut back to Kashi and his problems, and meanwhile, Chopper has gone Monster Point and has punched a giant in the face, which purifies him of his demon possession. So he knocks a giant out in one hit. And this is where we actually get to see how big Chopper is in scale to giants. He's bigger than a common giant because he's towering over Kashi in this shot. And he's way bigger than Gaban, obviously, because Gaban's just a normal human. But that's wild. It looks like he's on par with a Dami reversed giant. Or maybe I'm not reading the scale correctly. That's what it looks like. My goodness. I did not know he was that big. It makes sense that he got bigger after the time skip because all his transformations but the hybrid state got bigger. So like, it's believable that he's bigger now than he was back then, but it still just takes you aback. So we're back outside the Owl Library, and Remo Shifu Killingham has been beheaded and his body bound. But seeing as how his parts are scattered, he cannot regenerate. So the regeneration granted by Imu is kind of crazy because Killingham is just a talking head at this point. Meanwhile, in the back, Nami is feeding Zeus various little thunderballs so he can provide rain to the rest of the burning parts of Elbaf. And that's when we get a very funny line because Sanji says, "It's hard to believe these are the kinds of knights they have protecting the Holy Land." But that's when Frankie says, "We've just gotten too strong for them, Sanji. Luffy's an emperor now, you feel me?" I love that he says, "you feel me." He is really juiced up after that Super Cola. I love the attitude change. He's so cocky. I wonder if this is an attitude change because he got a different drink put inside of him. Because remember, that's how it was back in the day. When he got different drinks put inside of him, his personality has shifted greatly. So maybe this is yet another personality shift. I could be thinking too much about it, but it does feel that way because he's so cocky. I like it though. I like it. But Sanji then continues, "That's great and all, but it pisses me off to think that such vermin are allowed to terrorize Elbaf." True, true. So yeah, Killingham continues to talk smack, but that's when Loki, Ragnar, and Luffy arrive on the scene. Loki is laughing, Luffy is laughing, Ragnar is laughing, and everyone is taken aback by the size of Loki as a dragon. Sanji detects immediately that the dragon is Loki. Jinbei compares his size to that of a Sea King. Frankie is enamored by the dragon and saying, "That's a buddy of yours? No way, that's so cool." Luffy says, "Right, this guy is just too big." Nami gets pissed at everybody in the arriving party as she says, "Are you out of your minds? You've gone and made friends with another freak. I'm glad you beat the monsters, but seriously, that thing's breath is only feeding the flames. Don't you see? If you have to burn Elbaf to the ground to stop the bad guys, it defeats the whole point, so knock it off." Ragnar, Luffy, and Loki are embarrassed and shook as they see the flames rising from the background. Ragnar pats Luffy on the shoulder as he feels terrible about what has happened. And Luffy is looking off to the side as he is embarrassed by his actions. The comedic duo of Loki and Ragnar is unmatched. They have to join, bro. They have to. They have to. But Luffy fires back at Loki, saying that he's mad that Loki got him in trouble. Loki shoots him with lightning, saying, "I just want to crush all the threats to Elbaf. I don't care what your crew thinks." Luffy falls back as if the beam is going to do something to him. And this is a gag we've seen before. We've seen this happen when he gets shot by Hancock's Love beam. And I believe we've seen this too when Eniru shoots him with lightning for the first time. So a funny gag has returned. I liked it. I like it a lot. And that's when Luffy, after the gag has ended, says, "Oh, it's just lightning." And Loki's like, "Why didn't that work? What's happening?" Luffy fires back and says, "I would have sent you flying if it did." That's so funny. He's not aware that Luffy's made of rubber. I find that so funny. So his main attack just doesn't work on Luffy. This is cool though. I'm glad this was found out sooner rather than later. However, something gains Luffy's attention as we flash back to the center of Branch 8, which is Brook's group. Brook calls out to Usopp saying, "Please flee. I came here for my own reasons. She's dangerous." Usopp stands on business and says, "Who would run and abandon a crewmate at a time like this?" Brook, "True warriors do not run." Brook is astonished, but Usopp continues, "I've always dreamed of visiting this place, to come to the land I've admired. I won't disgrace myself, not here. Besides, I'm burning with fury right now." And we have our title drop right there. But to continue, Brook, "These guys, they're looking down on Elbaf. Their gutless plan was to sneak here and kidnap children. They didn't use their own strength at all in this invasion. They relied on those monsters and hijacked the minds of all those proud warriors, trying to force them to slaughter each other. How dare you carry out such a cowardly and underhanded scheme, you shameless butt." And he's cut off as Gunko kicks him or hits him or does something. Brook cries out to Usopp. Then Gunko hits Brook with some sort of force palm of some sort. I'm not sure what it is. Usopp is back up immediately and says the warriors of Elbaf fight with their own swords and shields. They've put their own lives on the line. They're a nation of warriors. If you want to conquer them, do it fair and square. Fight them head on, you spineless coward. He is talking to the devil like this. This is cool. Usopp, Usopp. But that's when Emu Gunko fires back and says, "A dominant ruler never sullies their own hands." Usopp prepares his attack. Skull bomb grass. But that is when Gunko does something under Emu's control and says, "Fire." And Usopp fires. So I guess she forced the explosion to go off in front of Usopp. I don't know what actually happened here. But Usopp and Brook are caught in the explosion, as is Gunko Emu, but she just regenerates. And that's when Luffy, Ragnar, and Loki arrive on the scene. And Loki says, "It's her." Luffy is taken aback as he sees Usopp and Brook have been hurt. And that's when Loki continues and says, "She's the source of the haki we felt. down in the realm of the dead. Gunko only looks at the party that's arrived. Luffy further looks down on his fallen comrades and says, "Hey Loki, I'm really pissed now." Loki fires back and says, "I wasn't planning on letting these guys get off the hook anyway." But interestingly, Gunko Emu ends us off by saying, "Nika, Nidhogg, submit or perish. This battle shall divide the world." So it's weird that she's acknowledging them, or I guess they are acknowledging them as their devil fruit forms and not by name. She calls Luffy Nika and Loki Nidhogg. So that's interesting. That's interesting. We got more videos about that coming down the pipe. So no break next week. That's great. This chapter was pretty cool. I'm glad we're revving up for a final showdown between our boys and Emu. And this is the first time that they're actually fighting off against one another. So Luffy could be fighting the main antagonist of the series right now. That's still up in the air who that is. It could be Emu, it could be Blackbeard, but it's leaning more towards Emu based on the flashback that we just came out of with the Rocks Pirates and all that. But yeah, very good chapter. I enjoyed it immensely. With that being said, if you are liking the content so far, hit the like button, followed by the subscribe button if you want to see more from me, and don't forget to click that bell so you never miss a video. In addition, if you can, please hit the hype button because it does help somehow. With that being said, give me your thoughts and tell your friends about Polypede. What's it?